A play fake. Young goes deep middle. He's got Jerry Rice. Touchdown 49ers!
Welcome to another edition of the 49ers Family Podcast, where three generations of 49ers fans break down the game each week and hear from Grandpa Mike as he shares personal experiences since he became a fan in 1949. My name is Josh. I'm here with my dad, Jared, and my grandpa, Mike, and we are a 49ers family. Okay. Feeling refreshed, coming off the bye week. Long time to stew on that sweet Rams victory. Grandpa, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Josh. It was really nice to have a week off and, kind of rest up for the second half. And, just lots of thoughts. It was very exciting going to the Ram game. And, they looked terrific in the second half. And I never thought that I would be happy with a 4-4 record. But I know you said this is a possibility in our first podcast, and you were right on. I thought we'd be more like 6-2. But in the first half, we've, had some low points and disappointments. That opening loss to Chicago, and then the never-ending injuries and the losses to Atlanta and Denver. We were favored in every game except the Kansas City game. And we're 4-4.
I will say that while I predicted 4-4, a lot is a whole different team back then, including that Trey Lance was our quarterback. So the reason I really said 4-4 is that I thought that we would take some lumps just having a rookie quarterback back there. But thank goodness for Jimmy. Thank goodness for Christian McCaffrey. We're 4-4, but as you said, very optimistic 4-4. Dad, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling real good. I'm excited about the second half of the season. I thought the first half we hit some. We started out slow, but I think we got some momentum going into the second half of the season. I'm excited to see our team get healthier. It was a perfect time for a bye. And I think we're only getting better as the season goes along. So 4-4 in the back half or the second half of the season, our schedule it's an easier schedule. And we're stronger and better than we were in the first half. So I'm very optimistic. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great. Well, cool. Well, today's episode, if you didn't catch it last week, we recapped the Rams game and kind of talked a little bit more about the first half of the season and different things. Today, we want to preview the second half of the season, and as well as obviously do some Chargers game preview prep. So first, let's talk about kind of how things have gone, what we expect to see in the second half. At the beginning of the year, if you looked at the second half, it's like, whoa, we're going to play, the flying around Buccaneers and a couple other teams that were like pretty formidable, and things have changed, including the fact that the Miami Dolphins weren't seen to be a contender, and now they are. Our good friend Mike McDaniel has made them into a true offensive juggernaut, and Tua in that offense is just putting up points at will. So some definite intrigue. So Grandpa, kind of walk through us the next 9 games.
Okay. So we're 8 games into the 17 game schedule. Of our first 8, 5 were on the road. So in the second half, one of the very important and good positive pieces is 6 of the 9 games will be at home. And so that's going to be a big help. The next piece is we're going to get a lot of these injured players back, including this week where, Debo will be back, and Juice and Mitchell and Alshire, and, so we're getting our injured players back, or many of them. And then we made this trade for Christian McCaffrey, and I still can't believe that. I mean, he is a difference maker. He's a yardage machine. He's a first down maker. This guy is just dynamic. And then of our next 9 opponents, only one, Tampa, has a top 10 rated defense. So, and you're right, Josh, that, you know, Green Bay has died. We don't play Green Bay this year, but Tampa is not the same team, and on and on. So things are changing in the NFL. So we have a lot of positive things going into the second half.
Mm-hmm. Dad, what games kind of pop off the schedule to you of that there's some intrigue there? Which games are you kind of keying in on?
Let's see. I really want to see how our defense matches up against Miami. I mean, Miami is probably the most potent offense we're going to face. I mean, slow down Tua and his weapons. They're a young team, so I think Miami is kind of that's going to be a very good defining moment for our team, and we'll just see how we do right there. That matchup intrigues me probably the most out of any in the second half, and that's December 4th. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that one's good. The benefit to that one is that we'll also be at home while we, as Grandpa just said, have 3 road games. One is in Mexico City and should feel a little bit more like a home game, and the other 2 are still in the Pacific time zone in Vegas and in Seattle. So we actually only have to travel, the furthest we have to travel is to Mexico City. And from a time zone perspective, they're on the mountain time zone. So even, I mean, it's not like we have some long road trip ahead of us and make up those 3 games, but it's a very manageable road schedule. And I'm excited to see the Niners get healthy and hopefully stay healthy. And really, as I look at the back half of the schedule, what I hope to see that honestly we didn't really see on the first half of the schedule is, as Grandpa said, beat the people that you're supposed to beat. Take care of business. We didn't do that against Chicago or Denver or Atlanta. Kansas City, I think we all kind of expected that to be a tough game, as Grandpa said, the only game that we weren't favored in. But I think we're going to be favored in the majority of these games down the stretch. And I just hope that the Niners really kind of take care of business. And we'll get into that when we talk about the Chargers. But specifically talking about the Arizona games, the Cardinals look bad. Their defense looks terrible. Their offense looks subpar. And I mean, as a Niner fan, I love to see that. But you know, they still always tend to give us fits, not as much as Seattle does. But those games, as much as I would like to say that they're, you know, a sure thing, they're not. But I hope that the Niners really, show out in those games and make them games that we don't have to stress about.
Also, for whatever reason, I don't like seeing us playing Seattle at Seattle. I mean, that's never, that's hostile territory for the Niners always. And for whatever reason, Geno Smith is just unconscious this year and doing crazy stuff. So that's also going to be a little bit of a nail biter, I think. But hopefully we go in there and just dominate. We're going to get the ball rolling, and I'm, really, we're really going to see what we have under the hood on Sunday, and really what we have going into the next several weeks is just getting going. We just got a sneak peek of it against the Rams.
So to me, looking at the schedule, it's always one game at a time. And so, the whole focus is on the Chargers, but the game in the whole second half of the 9 games, and I would not have said this at the beginning of the season, the important game is going to be at Seattle. They're a game and a half ahead of us. It's a total surprise. I thought when Russell Wilson went to Denver, it's over. Well, it isn't. And so that Seattle game on December 15th, it's a Thursday night game.
Yeah, short week.
Yeah, going to be important.
Mhm.
Very important. So looking at the schedule, it's just a recap. It's at home versus the Chargers, at Mexico City against the Cardinals, at home against the Saints, at home against the Dolphins, at home against the Bucks, at Seattle, at home against Washington, at Vegas on New Year's Day, and then finishing the season at home against the Cardinals. So 9 games. Curious, Dad, let's start with you. What's your predicted record over the second half?
I have us, we're sitting at 6-3 in the second half, and that's just trying to be as real as I can be there. I'm hoping it's better than that, but 6-3.
6-3, so that would put him at 10-7 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Grandpa, what do you think?
I expect us to go on a run, and I'm going to say we're going to go 7-2 in the final 9, and we'll end up 11-6. And that's, not giving myself a cushion at all, but we're going to go 7-2.
Yeah, I'm actually right there with you. I also think 7-2. I think that's pretty manageable. Once again, these are teams that we should beat. And we are healthy. That's a huge factor. I think the Rams game gave us a lot of good momentum. The bye week gave us some time to get even more healthy, and also give Coach Shanahan some time to figure out how to work with CMC and Debo on the field at the same time. We haven't seen that in its full force yet. And as mentioned, last week, some of the things that we saw in that Rams game from Christian McCaffrey and how he takes the pressure off Jimmy Garoppolo. I think both sides of the ball are just trending in really good and in a really good way. The schedule is in our favor. I think 7-2, honestly, is even, I think it's very realistic. I was trying to be real, not even optimistic. Optimistic, I would say 8-1, with the only, loss either being to Miami or at Seattle. I think those are the two biggest games left in the year. Not to overlook any of the other folks on the schedule, but those are just kind of some of my thoughts. So it should be a good one, though. Very, very, as you said at the beginning, Grandpa, we're 4-4, but man, are we in it? Look at the Super Bowl odds, look at the power rankings, look at everything. And it seems to be that we are about kind of that fourth team right there behind the Eagles, the Bills, the Chiefs, and then us. And the Niners have gotten a lot of respect from odds makers, even from analysts and talking heads. That 4-4 record, don't let it fool you. This team is, like you said, Grandpa, ready to go on a run.
Yeah. Yep. So we have San Diego next.
Not San Diego next.
The Chargers. I keep calling them San Diego.
I know. I think we all do. I wish they still. Honestly, like the Anaheim Angels became the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I feel like they should have done something like that to keep them affiliated with the San Diego Chargers. I know their stadium moved and the Angels didn't, so I guess I see that. But still, they will always be the San Diego Chargers to us.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, as mentioned, this is a home game. It is Sunday Night Football, which I love. I love the primetime games. I live for them. And Chargers hold the overall series lead. Surprisingly, this is surprisingly 8-7, 8 games to 7 over the Niners. And the Niners right now are currently favored by a touchdown, with the over under being 46.5 points. So should be a good game. And then the weather, we can't forget the weather. The weather looks to be right now favorable. Football weather in Santa Clara, probably going to be around 55 degrees or something.
Yeah. So the Chargers are a good team. They're the most injured team in the NFL. They have 9 guys on injured reserve and 11 guys that are limited in practice. So they're really banged up. They throw the football. So Justin Herbert, he can move around the pocket. And last week he threw 48 passes against Atlanta. But he averages 44 passes a game. So that's what they do, is they throw the football. They don't run a lot. Herbert averages about 280 yards a game. And so that's what we're going to see, is he's going to be throwing. A couple of his top wide receivers, Mike Williams is out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Keenan
Allen he did not practice today. He's only played 2 games this year. I don't know if he'll play or not. We do this on Wednesday night. And so, you know, it looks good.
It does look good. I mean, they still obviously should not be overlooked. They are 5-3, but as you mentioned, they are banged up. And specifically on the defensive side, you know, that's what was really popping off to me as we did some game prep. That right now, at least the yards allowed per rush, the Chargers are the worst in the NFL. They allow 5.71 yards per rush. That's unbelievable. That's something that you would expect to see in college or something. And that they also are allowing nearly 4 yards after contact, which, as any Niner fan knows, we live and breathe off of yards after contact or yards after the catch, both of them, honestly. And which is set in that 4 yards after after contact is the second worst in the NFL. They obviously don't have Joey Bosa. And then similarly, they are also down, I forget the other D tackle's name, Austin or something.
Yeah, it's Austin.
I forget his name, but they
Johnson.
There you go, Austin Johnson. They are weak on their defensive front. They still have Derwin James. They have a pretty good back end. Michael Davis is a good corner. But I think this should be a showcase and a good game for the Niners to figure out their run game. Because frankly, the run game, and it could be injury related with Elijah Mitchell, and then Jeff Wilson had some good spots in there, but then it kind of had some not so great games. We played against some tough defenses. Now we get Christian McCaffrey in. Elijah Mitchell hopefully will play. We'll see how many touches he gets. We should dominate this game in kind of the 2019 kind of way, where I don't think Jimmy is going to get probably throw more than 15, 16, 17 times. I think we're going to run the ball. We're going to grind out the clock, and we are just going to stay on the field. And when they stack the box, that's when we'll throw. So I think our defense has to kind of keep us in the game and not let the Chargers put up too many points, because they are going to sling the rock, as Grandpa said. But I think our offense is where we have the true advantage. Dad, what are your thoughts?
A couple of things you mentioned, a lot of it about the injuries on the Chargers defensively, and then there are some key wide receivers being out. They do go to the air a lot, and you know, Austin Eckler is their Cooper Kupp. Yeah, he's got 10 of their 20 touchdowns. You know, he's got like 4 rushing, 6 receiving. I mean, if we key on Austin Eckler, shut him down, we're gonna be in real good shape. Their defense's rate is approximately number 20 in the league. So their defense is weak against the run. You mentioned that. I think this is a great game coming out of the bye, potentially to again establish the run, move the ball around. Yards after catch, that's what we're built for, or yards after contact. Our running squad with Debo and Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's just kind of what they do. Yeah, so I think we match up very well. Running, our line, I guess that right, the I don't know. We have a few issues there. We can run off Trent Williams off the left side pretty good, but we've statistically have not had much success running, off, on the right side of our line, our guard and tackle positions there. We need to get that going. We have great pass defense with the line, but as far as a run blocking is not what it's normally at. But maybe we haven't had the right running back in the back. So anyhow, it's interesting. I watched a few things on just overview of the Niners the first half of the season, and what we're looking like. What we do is we're really normally a rushing offensively minded team, and we've slowly migrated to being more dominant in a passing sense. Statistically, we're better when Jimmy G's in a shotgun formation. We actually have more yards per play, gained. And we used to be, it's like 60-40 now. We're 60% of the time we're in shotgun, 40% under center, and we move the ball better when we're in the shotgun formation. Just opens up our offense more, and I guess it plays to the strengths of our playmakers too. So it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. Want to get your thoughts on that too, Grandpa. But if we're at a shotgun, though, as we know, Jimmy G's specialty is quick release, get the ball out quick. And if you're under center, and if you look to throw out of being under center, you lose a solid second to get through a read. Pretty much maybe 1.5 reads if you're dropping back, and you have to be facing one side of the field as you drop back. So that's not totally surprising to me, just given the strengths and weaknesses of Jimmy G. And frankly, with all the motion, pre-snap motion that Kyle likes to do, that lends itself to being at a shotgun, because you kind of have Debo come to your hip, Debo leave from the hip, Christian McCaffrey come to the hip, and that's all that those defenders have to key in on is where are those playmakers. And then you got Brandon Ayuk that's on a hot streak, 3 games of 80 yards receiving. George Kittle ready to go off any second. I love that all these guys are healthy. I can't wait to see them all on the field at the same time.
Yeah, you're right, Josh. I think we're better off in the shotgun because Jimmy can see the field, and
that too. Yes,
if he's under center, it's a 3, 5, 7 step drop. It takes a second or two, and that's in the shotgun you don't have that. So, but getting back to the Chargers. Eckler is a tough little runner. He's really physical. He's only 5'8". He weighs 200 pounds. He's from Western Colorado. I always like looking up where these guys came from. So small school, little guy, just tough as nails. He scored 20 touchdowns last year, and he has 10 in the last 5 games this year. So he's a tough guy. And he catches the ball out of the backfield too. So the Chargers have beat the Raiders, the Texans, the Browns, the Broncos, and the Falcons, and they've lost to the Chiefs, the Jaguars, and the Seahawks. So that kind of tells you when they play a good team, they don't win.
Well, and I think, especially thinking about those teams that they lost to versus that they beat, I think a lot of it comes down to that defense. That their defense can get overwhelmed easily, and that's where I do think that we have the upper hand. So I do hope. I think that 7-point spread or the line, I think that's about right. I would expect 7 or maybe 8 points. For an NFL game, that's pretty significant. So. I think odds makers feel confident in the Niners. I feel confident in the Niners, but you never know. But it does help that we're coming off a bye and the game is at home. That's also in our favor.
Yeah.
It is too bad that Joey Bosa isn't going to play just for the Bosa intrigue. I'm happy that he's not playing because that guy is a disruptor just like his brother. But they did interview Nick today, I think it was, in the locker room, asked him, and he said, yeah, a little bummed I can't play against him. But I've been following the Chargers really since they drafted his brother. And yeah, him and his brother are really tight. The whole Bosa family is super, super tight. You gotta just respect that. They're machines. They train together. And so it would have been a cool kind of storyline headed into the game, that brother on brother action. But luckily we don't have to deal with him because, and I mean, we do have a good, great, obviously the best maybe offensive tackle in Trent Williams. But if Joey were to line up on the other side against Blake Lynchy, I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, it's also interesting. So the Bosa parents have uniforms that are half Niners. So both players wear number 97, which is what the number their father wore when he played.
That's cool.
And so the parents have had uniforms made. They're half Charger, half Niners. So the 9 is, I don't know if that's Charger or Niner, but and I expect they'll be there and wear those jerseys, but they were very disappointed that they're not both going to be playing against each other, because it's only every 4 years that we will play the Chargers.
Right, exactly. And who knows what'll happen in the next 4 years. I hope Nick is still on the Niners for sure, and I expect the Niners to lock him up this offseason. But who knows where Joey will be, or injuries happen, so who knows.
He's a force.
Yeah, he sure is. Okay. Well, so let's do some score predictions. Mentioned that we're all feeling relatively confident. The spread is by 7. Grandpa, start us off.
I think the final score is going to be 27-20.
Okay. Dad, so right on the line. Okay.
I'm on the line too, but I think we're gonna put some points. I think we're gonna get 31 points, 31-24.
Okay.
Niners.
All right. I'm gonna go 35-21. I think our offense is gonna be clicking. I think we will kind of put the game away. I mentioned this last week. I loved against the Rams that long pass to Charlie Werner. That was kind of just like the finishing strike. I hope we see another one of that. I think that we're going to be up 28-21, something of the sort. And I hope that we just put the nail in the coffin and finish winning by 2 touchdowns. That is a hopeful prediction, but I think it's also realistic, because I think our offense versus their defense, once again, is only going to get better as the game goes on. So I'm going to say 35-21.
Nice. I love it.
Usually when you run the ball, the scores are not as high because it takes you a long time to get down the field.
True. Maybe we'll get an interception, a short field in there to give us some.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very hopeful with McCaffrey that we score in the 30s every game the second half. I mean, that's where we really need to be.
We do
30-something points.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to a fellow Niner fan here in my neighborhood. He actually lives just around the corner, and we found out that we were both big Niner fans. It's super fun. And we talked about that maybe it's jumping to conclusions, but we need to practice putting up points.
Sure.
Especially because if we hope to win the Super Bowl, to get to the Super Bowl, I think we can play our game and win games by scoring in the 20s. But whoever we're going to go up against in the Super Bowl, and I'm predicting that's either going to be the Chiefs or the Bills, we are going to have to learn, have experience putting up points and quick drives, being able to respond. And so I hope that we do, I agree, Grandpa, see that in the second half of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where we need to be.
We got to have a deep threat. Jimmy's got to be able to sling it when it's needed, and that threat has to be there. Because you're right. I mean, Kansas City, they just put up tons of points and can do it at will. And you gotta, in a shootout, I mean, we got to be able to kind of hold our own.
Yeah. And that's actually what I said. I said, Kansas City doesn't care if you're at 21-0. They're in that game until, 5 minutes left. Honestly, they can score, and they are confident that they can score in 53 seconds.
Just look at that Buffalo playoff game last year.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, it should be a good one. As per usual, we will end with a story from Grandpa Mike. This time we're going to hear about Grandpa Mike's, it's been mentioned before, but his sports memorabilia room, or as I was a kid, called it his sports museum. So Grandpa, tell us about it.
Okay, well, each week I'm asked to tell a story, and I love doing it, but I don't like talking about myself. So I always have difficulty coming up with what the subject should be, and Josh and Jared have to help me. So, but anyway, to the listeners who don't know me, which is probably most, I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I am a loyal, dedicated 49er Giant Warrior fan. I mean, it's in my blood. So for whatever reason, when I was a little boy, I just started saving things, saving sports memorabilia. And today I'm 80 years old. So I've had, 70 something years of collecting things. And today it's quite a collection. It really is a museum. There's over 1,100 pieces of sports memorabilia. And I mean, it's all good quality stuff. As an example, I have my pride and joy is my 60 autographed baseballs, and 41 are in the Hall of Fame. So it's, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Bob Feller, Lou Gehrig, and Babe Ruth, and many others. So it's quite a collection of autographed baseballs. And then I also have autographed bats. I have 18 actually autographed bats, including 7 of the top 8 home run hitters of all time. And that's everybody but Babe Ruth. And just in case you're interested, Babe Ruth's autographed bat costs $250,000. So we won't be getting that one anytime soon. And the other thing that I've collected over the years that I've never seen anybody else collect, and there's a lot of great collections out there, but is magazines. And I've collected, Sports Illustrated started in 1954, and the 3rd issue was Y.A. Tittle on the cover and the face mask thing that I talked about earlier. But I have 104 magazines that are all framed, all in the same kind of frame, gunmetal gray with glare-proof glass, and they're hung in chronological order by date. So it's quite a collection. It's not only Sports Illustrated, it's Newsweek and Time and Sport Magazine. A lot of them are now out of business, unfortunately, because of the internet. So newspapers and magazines are dying. I also have over 30 uniforms of the 49ers, the Giants, the Warriors, the San Francisco Seals, the team I grew up with. And and then I have hundreds of baseball cards. Some are over 100 years old. And there's autographed basketballs from Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, John Wooden, Bill Russell, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Rick Barry, and on and on. So it's a beautiful room, and the collection never ends. So I'm always looking for things. I also have all the championship rings, the 5 49er Super Bowl rings, and the 3 giant World Series rings, and I have 5 Warrior NBA championship rings. So
all fake, right, Grandpa? Those aren't real.
well, that's true.
Okay.
The molding is the exact molding, but they're not real diamonds. So
I don't want to protect you a little bit. People aren't going to try and break a window to get those rings. They are not real.
yeah, they're not real. They're replicas, but they look real.
I do.
And I've actually worn just a couple of times. I've worn one like out to dinner after, the Giants won the World Series or something, and it's really uncomfortable and awkward. The ring is so big. It's like, get this off my finger. But anyway, so I have just all kinds of things. I have 3 wooden uniforms. This guy in Utah made them out of 100-year-old barnwood, and they're of Barry Bonds, Steph Curry, and Ronnie Lott. So just a lot of stuff, and it's my pride and joy, and it's been my hobby, and I wanted to share it with you.
That's awesome. I lived in Houston for our listeners. I lived in Houston for 4 years, worked for Houston Methodist, and was able to be in on a few meetings of their board of directors. And Spencer Tillman was actually on their board of directors, and he would wear his Super Bowl ring regularly. And that thing was big, but he wore it with pride, which I always thought was pretty cool.
He was number 23.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Super good guy.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least, I did just want to ask you, Grandpa, one of the more famous, or I guess, famous Super Bowls of the Niners was beating the Chargers in a pretty good butt whooping. So I did just want to ask you off the cuff, kind of, what do you remember about that game? Where were you? And like, how was it being a fan?
Well, it was Super Bowl 34, and I actually watched it on TV. Steve Young threw 6 touchdown passes. We actually killed the Chargers. The final score was 49-26. However, San Diego scored twice at the end, kind of on garbage time. They scored like 16 points at the end. So it was much like the Denver Super Bowl that we won 55-10, but this was 49-26. And for San Diego to qualify, they had to beat Pittsburgh during their 20-year run. So it was an upset that looked like we were going to play Pittsburgh, but we played the Chargers, and it was a rout. Jerry Rice, I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was the game, I believe, too, that, Steve Young finally earned his own Super Bowl, and the famous kind of monkey off the back video that he finally kind of emerged from the shadow and said, we did this, I did this, and which was pretty epic too.
It was Gary Plummer who he went over and said, "Take the monkey off my back," and it was Gary Plummer who did that. And Gary Plummer, part of the story, was a linebacker from Cal that played for the Chargers for many years, And then he got into this contract dispute. And the year he went to the Niners, they played in the Super Bowl against his former team. And he was the guy that you see lifting the monkey off Steve Young's back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, right on. Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of 49ers Family. We appreciate you being part of our family, talking Niners, talking everything San Francisco sports. If you have any feedback, please hit us up at 49ersfamilypodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.